What time is it? Let me check my watch. Oh, it's bone o'clock. In olden days, a glimpse of femur was only for morbid dreamers, but you're not alone. Bring anything bones. Two goofy gals with deathly interest go on a skeleton inquest in your headphones. Anything bones.
Hello and welcome to Anything Bones. I'm Sophie Schwartz.
And I'm Caitlin Hart. What's up, everyone? How's your day?
I hope it's bone-tastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't leave. We have a very special guest today. He is a returning guest, a buddy, a best friend.
A jack of all trades.
Yeah. A jack of all trades, Renaissance man. Nick Kruger.
I can't handle all. Thank you. It's so good to be here in the Bone Zone again.
Yay!
Can't believe it's happening again. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we just looked it up, and Nick was in episode 9 of Anything Bones previously, and now it's episode 41.
Yeah.
And everything has changed.
It's completely different. Before, we weren't meeting out of laziness. Now we aren't meeting because of pandemic.
Yeah. But we were hanging out with Nick last night. We had our appearance on Everything's Fine Tonight Live, where we played our alter egos, I guess. Hortense and Kelly, best friend morticians. And Nick was hanging out with us to after party and also to move large pieces of furniture to accommodate the streaming setup.
You know, I'm not used to there needing to be stagehands for podcasts. Turns out that's a thing.
Yeah.
And I was brought in, and you know what? I did my job, and I got paid scale. So that's not true. They did not pay me.
I was going to
We
say
fed you, though.
Yeah.
You did feed me. I did finish the cocktails.
Yeah.
Nobody could finish the cocktails except me.
We were like, yeah, we're going out. It's going to be so fun. And we went to this place that we hadn't been to since pre-COVID. And they had done this revamp that looked really promising at first. It really drew us in.
It was so exciting. You know, the waitress came out and she was like, we've completely changed the menu. We have a new bartender who's bartending tonight. We have a new fresh,
And the bartender was cute.
Yeah. Everybody who worked there was super nice, but the food was atrocious and the drinks were good, but too strong and expensive.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. It was hilariously bad for the build-up that we received from those people. I was so disappointed.
I don't know how you fuck up mac and cheese, but they did.
Oh,
They
yeah.
did.
It was atrocious. It was just noodles in like cream slop with green like breadcrumbs on the top. It was disgusting, but
I think they described it as like mac and cheese with breadcrumbs and herb, and it literally looked like they had sprinkled keef on top of the mac and cheese.
And normally I'd be all for that, but it tasted like shit.
It was bad.
It was bad. Yeah. And then we went on a nice walk through town to kind of see what was happening and walked by several lovely looking bars that we could have gone to. And we were like, beans. But
why did I spend $40 on sad noodles with milk?
On Ballard's famous milk noodles.
Yeah, poached milk noodles.
That is the worst way to describe mac and cheese, but that's what it was.
It was.
But yeah, we had so much fun last night, and you can still watch the show on Twitch. There's a link in our bio on Instagram to watch the show. It came out on July 17th. It doesn't matter.
Hold yourself together.
Yes.
So
pull yourself together. Bring it back to bones. Bring it back to bones.
I was just going to say, should we segue so smoothly into bones?
Yes, I think that we certainly shall. So I'm going to kick us off today for our beautiful bone presentations. So a little background to my topic. I was watching White Collar, and this topic was mentioned. And then a few nights ago, me and Sam Demboski, who has been on the podcast before, was our first guest and is one of my longtime artistic partners, came to hang out with me and help me split dye my hair. If you want to see a picture of that, it is on our Instagram, but my hair is half black, half blue.
It's looking
Listeners,
very cool right
I can
now.
see it on the Zoom right now. It's worth checking out the Instagram for. Get on there.
You guys are too sweet. It's really Sam's work because Sam took the time to split dye my hair, part it perfectly. But as we were doing this, I was like, do you want to watch something, listen to music? She was like, whatever. And so I put on White Collar, and it got me thinking about this topic that I was interested in. And I told Sam, and Sam was like, let me do the research for you. And I was like, no, that's okay. I could do it myself. And she was like, no, this sounds fascinating. I would like to do some research on this. And I was like, okay, if you would like to. And so this research is done by friend of the show, star researcher of Anything Bones, Sam Demboski. This is the story of Cher Ami, the carrier pigeon.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing it with us.
Yeah. Well, it means, let me pull up these notes. No, don't download another app. Okay. So Cher Ami means dear friend, which of course I have today 2 dear friends with me.
Oh.
Yeah, it means dear friend in French. So my sources for this were Home of Heroes, Medal of Honor and Military History, National Museum of American History, the Smithsonian Institute, the U.S. World War I Centennial Commission, Military.com, Smithsonian again, the New York Times, U.S. National Archives blog, Birdwatching Daily, life.illinois.edu, and stanford.edu.
Damn, Sam.
Damn, Sam!
Coming in big with those sources. Oh,
Big
I feel like
and-
I'm in college.
Yeah, big
Yeah.
and hot sources. I had 2 sources this week.
Well, Sam was like, taste my fury.
Yeah.
I like to be helpful. I'm a nice friend. Bitch, get it.
Oh,
So back to our friend, the carrier pigeon, our dear friend. So Cher Ami was one of 600 carrier pigeons that was donated by the British bird breeders to the U.S. Army Signal Corps in 1917. So this was for World War I. So these carrier pigeons flew 12 missions during World War I, delivering messages on the front lines in France in the fall of 1918. So although this pigeon is referred to as both he or she for the past 100 years, genetic testing in 2020 revealed that Cher Ami is actually a cockbird. And Sam has
Oh.
written tee-hee.
Yeah, that
big
is
dick cockbird.
that's
Yeah.
funny.
I'm
Yeah.
glad that we spent thousands of dollars determining once and for all the sexuality of this bird.
Well, it's not even the sexuality of
Well,
this
it's not
bird.
sexual, the sex of the bird.
Yeah, which, who cares if the bird was a male or a female? Cher Ami is credited with saving the lives of almost 200 soldiers of the Lost Battalion in October of 1918.
Kudos.
Right? Well, we're going to get into it.
Oh, turns out a bird in the hand is worth 200 in the bush.
Nicholas!
I'm here. I'm coming in hot.
Not even 10 minutes in, I'm
Oh,
gonna
this is
die.
this is all it's gonna be.
Nicholas,
Buckle up, buckaroos.
you're fucking fired.
You
Okay.
invited me back. You knew this would happen. Keep going.
Okay, so why messenger pigeons? Why is this the way that we're communicating in World War I? Because there are other methods of communication at this time, but why is this the best method to communicate in war at the time? These carrier pigeons are a domestic pigeon subbreed, Columbia liva domestica, and homing pigeons will instinctively fly back to their home roosts from unfamiliar locations and over great distances, as many as 700 miles in a single day.
That's a lot of miles.
Can you do that?
No.
I can't.
No, wait. I could
hate
do
to-
like 7.
You could fly
Listen-
7 miles.
Listeners, I know I was described as a jack of all trades in the beginning, but I just want to let everyone know that that does not include flying 700 miles in a day.
No.
Ooh, not yet. Not yet.
Working on it. Working on those Da Vinci wings.
Yeah.
Gonna get there.
And so nobody quite knows how they are able to find their way back, like from these unknown locations. I was reading one of these articles that Sam had found about homing pigeons and how they do their nasty thing. And it has to do with like their sensory nerves and they like different odors, like they can smell where they are and where they're going, but we're not totally sure how it works.
Man,
Great.
that smells like 101 degrees north to me. Oh, right on track.
Right on track. The breed of pigeon that we're talking about, our celebrated war pigeon, is not to be confused with the English carrier breed of fancy pigeon. And I have to send you a picture of this pigeon because it's a buck wild looking bird.
Oh, I would have been so confused. Thanks for bringing that up.
So this is the bird that it is. Wait,
This
what?
is the
Say
bird it is. This is the bird it is not. This is a bird it could be confused with.
This is the bird it's not. I'm looking at the not bird.
This is the bird with the longest neck.
That bird does not have a long neck.
It's like if you took a New York pigeon and stretched out its neck like it was made of fucking silly putty.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Maybe it can find its way back because it can see I can see over the trees just by standing with that long neck.
It's a majestic fucking bird. Y'all know I have a deep appreciation for birds. Pigeons have been domesticated and used to deliver messages and communications for thousands of years, starting with ancient Romans. Genghis Khan also used carrier pigeons. The list kind of goes on. We found out early if you strap a message to a bird, it can get to where you want it to go.
I don't understand, but I know it's true.
Caitlin, science doesn't understand.
Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not alone if I have science with me.
I'd like to think the first time they're like, hey, what happens if we write a thing on and put it on this bird? Where it go?
Imagine you're an ancient Roman and you're like, I'm going to be late to Odysseus's party. This sucks. How am I going to tell him? I could send my friend. He's not that fast. I could send this goat. He's not that fast.
If I have to run another marathon to say I'm going to be late to dinner, I'm going to
go fucking lose
crazy.
my shit. Yeah. I'm gonna rip my toga off and start a war.
Hey, Odysseus, really sorry. I told you I was going to miss the orgy, but the bird must have got lost or something. What, you put a message on a bird? Yeah! It's insane.
Well, I'll tell you who didn't think it was insane. Both the Allied and Central Powers used pigeons to deliver messages, which is interesting because they use like mobile roosts. I'll get into that a little bit later. So even after traveling on the front lines, like I said, in these mobile roosts, they could find their home lofts even though they were moving around. And Sam thinks that this is possible because of bird magic, perhaps.
Oh.
I can't think of any other explanations so far.
It's the most logical choice.
If one is presented to me, maybe.
It's just insane that so they were carrying these pigeons around in these kind of like, they would make little homes for them, their little like nests, and they would bring those around wherever they would go, and the pigeons would know to come back to those locations. It's insane.
It's crazy.
It's got to be like a smell thing, but I bet it's also like a maybe it's I don't know. It's bird magic. It's 100% bird magic.
I think Sam is right. So this was crucial because before the advent of wireless telegraphy and two-way radios, battlefield communication mostly required wires, which were very delicate, and they took time to like lay the wires, and they were easily destroyed by artillery or, human interaction. So messenger pigeons could carry short handwritten messages in tiny canisters strapped to their backs. And I have a picture of that for you.
Oh, give me a little backpack. Give me a pigeon backpack. I need it.
So this is Pigeon Backpack. And all of these, of course, can be viewed on our Instagram.
Oh, it's more of a leg pack, but I'll take it.
You know what? Are you being picky?
I would
just
say
saying.
that's on the bird's leg also.
I wanted it to be a backpack. Thinking about the physiology of a bird, it makes no sense that the backpack could possibly go there with wings and all that. So, I mean, I think I just let myself down a little bit, but
Okay.
I accept that this is the only way that it makes sense.
Well-
and I'm just a little disappointed that Bird Magic couldn't come up with something better.
Nicholas, I hate to hear you so disappointed, so I'm going to send you something I think that will not disappoint you, because the Germans had a fun idea where they like to strap cameras to the birds.
Oh, you crazy crowds, what'd you do this time?
Look at it. Oh, look at him. He knows he looks like an idiot.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's basically, and what is that? I mean, viewers, if you want to look at this picture on that Instagram, that thing on the back, that kind of looks like a backpack to me.
Oh, Nicholas
And a
does
front
it?
pack.
Yeah. Well, it's basically got a camera strapped to its chest to take pictures.
How does that take a picture? Like from a distance, or is it just continually taking pictures?
Yeah, what
This bird is
activates-
like, I know I'm a bad photographer. I don't know who put me in charge, but
Bird flies back. I'm gonna give it to you guys straight. Everything's out of focus. Framing is terrible.
you wanted me to be a good spy, and all I got were pictures of some fish that I ate.
Franz, we gave you 3,000 marks to train these birds how to focus a damn camera, and they come back shit.
Oh, you don't want to be you don't want to be the guy who is bad at training the birds. But these birds can fly at an average of 50 miles per hour, but they can do bursts of 90 miles an hour. Damn. That bird is in a hurry.
Tweet.
They're also conveniently immune to tear gas and, of course, easy to transport. This is a quote from military.com. Quote, unlike the messenger dogs tried by Germans at the height of the conflict between 1914 and 1918, they could be relied on not to be distracted by the tempting smells of rats and rotting corpses.
Nice. Thank you.
I love dogs, but they're not great for this kind of work.
Oh, dogs love corpses too much. It's the one weakness.
Well, listen to our Cadaver Dogs episode if you want to hear an episode about dogs that love corpses.
Woof.
Again, I wonder why we have you back.
You made this decision.
I think that was episode 2.
Yeah, and it's like under half an hour, I think, or something like that.
So short, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Sophie, just a quick question, and this is not going to make you want to kick me off the podcast. Is the reason that birds aren't affected by tear gas is because big birds don't cry?
I wish that my face could be translated in an audio form.
Your face is a sigh,
Yes.
if that makes any sense to anybody.
I feel unwelcome in this moment, and that's what I think I was going for, but I accept this.
Let's bring it back.
Let's bring it back. Yes.
No more hate, only love.
No more hate. Well, let's get back to Cher Ami and the Lost Battalion. So the Lost Battalion was a group of 550 soldiers from the United States 77th Division, and they were trapped behind enemy lines in Argonne Forest in France in early October 1918. So the 77th was a national army made up of drafted men who were not part of the regular army and not part of the National Guard. So these were just regular fucking dudes. You know, like the dudes, they were not super trained.
And they were lost.
And they were lost.
And only a bird could save them.
Well, hold on now.
Oh, I'm sorry, don't get ahead of myself.
You don't get ahead of me now. Cher Ami was one of 8 messenger pigeons in the command of Major Charles Whittlesey. After an offensive on October 2nd, Whittlesey and the other soldiers were trapped on a hillside surrounded by German forces. They attempted to send other messenger pigeons asking for reinforcements, but they were unfortunately shot down by enemy fire. On October 4th, an American plane flew over them and mistook them for Germans.
Oh no.
And American forces began dropping artillery on them.
Oof.
Shoot.
Oh, insult
USA.
to injury. Yeah, go Team USA. So Whittlesey wrote a note. He wrote one more message, and he was like, we're going to send it on Cher Ami. And this is what the message said. Quote, we are along the road parallel 276.4. Our artillery is dropping a barrage directly on us. For heaven's sakes, stop it.
Hey, stop it.
Stop it. So this is a quote from military.com. Quote, Private Omar Richards released the bird. It flew around and landed on a treetop beside Richards and Whittlesey. The two men yelled and screamed at it. Finally, the bird flew away.
It was teasing them.
That's your only hope, man. You're throwing up a bird. Your own forces are fucking bombing you, and you're like, bird, fucking go. We are in a rush.
Yeah.
So Cher Ami made it back to headquarters, and he had been shot through the breast, wounded in one eye, and the leg that the canister was on was hanging by a tendon.
Wow.
This bird is tough
magic.
as nails. Bird magic. So upon receiving the message, American forces redirected their artillery and were able to do supply drops to the soldiers. I read a little bit more about that, and the first couple supply drops that they did miss.
Great. God damn it.
You know, World War One, birds, they were doing a lot better flying than people at that point.
Hell yeah.
It was still hard.
It was still hard. I have a question. Can we have a little moment of Nick's plane corner? What kind of planes we'd be flying at this time?
Oh, God. Sophie, let me tell you about a little plane corner thing right here.
It's Nick's Plane Corner.
Hey, everybody, it's Nick's Plane Corner. I'm going to tell you what. I don't know a lot about World War One shit. It's an area that I have purposely not spent a lot of time in. They got biplanes. Oh boy, howdy, they got all sorts of crazy stuff. They were trying to figure out ways, because the things with guns and planes is like, well, the easiest way to put a gun on a plane is to have it right in front of the person so they could shoot it. But then the propeller's right there. And so they had to go through this thing where they had to figure out how to not shoot off the propeller when they shot the machine gun.
Oh no.
It took them a while. Took them a while to figure that out. Once they did, they got it down pretty well. But yeah, no, lots of basically wood and fabric with a Model T engine strapped to it is basically your classic World War One situation.
That was Nick's Plane Corner.
That's Nick's Plane Corner.
Planes.
Got it in one.
You're welcome.
So on October 8th, the 190 remaining men of the Lost Battalion walked back to American lines, and another 260 were carried out, and 107 men were dead, and 63 were missing.
Ooh.
So Cher Ami was treated for his wounds and given a little wooden leg to replace his missing one.
Oh, baby.
That's great.
They gave the pigeon a peg leg.
Pigeon peck leg.
Like a little pirate.
And it went on to be a pigeon of the seas, I imagine.
Well, not before it got a lot of awards, but there is a lovely quote from General John Pershing? General John Pershing, commander of the... Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, you got it.
General John Pershing, commander of the American Expeditionary Force, said, quote, "There isn't anything the United States can do too much for this bird."
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah. So this bird ended up being awarded the Croix de Guerre, which is one of France's highest military awards. And Cher Ami went to the United States with his trainer, Captain John Carnegie, which I have a lovely little picture of.
Aw. And is it true that bird was then given Secretary of Forests?
Yes, that bird went on to be president.
Wow. President Cher Ami.
I love this little picture of the guy and the bird.
Oh.
Oh.
He's the bird's trader's like, hey, you already see my freaking great bird?
Look at my bird. You've seen my bird?
Hey, my boy is a war hero.
This is my war hero bird.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about birds and why they can fly, because it's bone related, y'all.
There's the
Oh.
bones. I was
Yeah.
wondering where the bones were going to come in.
I mean, I said corpses, didn't I?
You did. And it was hanging on by a tendon, and I was going to give you some shit for that.
No.
Because it wasn't hanging on by a bone.
Yeah. So I have a question. Are bird bones hollow to make them lighter? Do you think that's why?
Ooh.
Yes.
See, you're leading me. You're leading me right to yes, but I want to say no because I feel like this is a trap.
You should say yes.
Yes.
No.
Damn it!
Most of the bones in flying birds are pneumatic, which means that they are hollow and filled with air spaces that are connected to the respiratory system. Birds breathe through their bones.
Bird breath.
This is new information to me.
I don't think I knew this either.
This is why Sam was so excited. She was like, oh, there's bone stuff. Oh, there's bone stuff. Instead of a two-way respiratory system, like reptiles and mammals, where air passes in and out along the same path, birds have one system of air sacs, including the bones,
Bone sack.
bone sacs, that allow air to continuously flow through the lungs. And I got a little diagram for you. Actually, I'm just going to take a screenshot of it because it's a whole page here.
It's a whole damn page.
Sam is nothing if not thorough. Here's a little diagram of what that looks like.
Oh. That's crazy. This is actually an x-ray of the pigeon, Chenami. No, Chenami, that's dog friend. What was the pigeon's name?
Cherami.
Cherami.
And Cherami is actually taxidermied and in the Smithsonian.
Oh.
Wow. Stole it from those French.
So a few more things about bird bones. How do bird bones stay strong if the dang things are hollow? As Sam writes, the bones of flying birds are more dense than the bones of non-flying mammals, and some, like the humerus and like the upper wing, have internal struts, which both make the hollow bones stiffer and stronger. So like they're hollow on the inside, but they have like pillars, like of bone inside of them.
Cool.
Wow.
Yeah. And bird skeletons have fewer bones than mammals and reptile skeletons. And they have portions that are like fused for strength and rigidity. And there are certain birds where their skeletons weigh less than their feathers.
That's
wild.
really cool, yeah.
Yeah.
Birds are disgusting creatures, but damn, they're cool.
Well, it's just interesting to think that
Coming in hot with the bird.
coming in hot, I don't know why you hate birds.
I don't know why. I don't know. I feel like chickens just poop a lot.
I've
But
never
also
met
they
a
don't
bird
fly.
that I liked.
I think we can celebrate this bird for saving many American lives.
Yeah, I
Over
like this
200.
one pigeon. I
Yeah.
like this one pigeon.
God bless this one damn pigeon.
And that is Cherami and his amazing flight.
And his
Wow.
bones.
And his bones.
And his bones that let him do it.
Yeah, the bones that let him do it. Birds breathe through their bones. Process that.
That's the bird magic, turns out.
Yeah, the bird
Do they
magic
sort of-
was in the bones all along.
It was in the bones all along. Wow. Of course. I mean, we should have known.
Yeah.
Birds' bones are hollow because that's where they keep the magic.
Yes. And their secrets.
But not the messages. That's on the leg. It's
That's
sometimes in a backpack.
Nick, do you want to tell us a bone story?
Yes. Oh my God. I thought I'd never get it. Hey, everybody. I have a bone adjacent story for everyone, and it's a Russian bone story. Specifically, this is a pre-World War I boat bone Russian story about the voyage of the damned.
Okay.
In classic Russian history fashion, this is a tragic story.
Well, we love a tragic story on this podcast.
Yeah, okay, so just quick background information. It's Russia in like early 1900s. They're super racist, and the Tsar Nicholas is trying to do anything he can to like get some national prestige so that he doesn't succumb to a revolution, which, spoiler alert, it happens like in like a decade or two.
Yeah.
but we're not there yet. We have to go through this
Princess
first.
Anastasia.
She is like probably like 2 or 3 at this point.
Aw.
So as part of this, something that Russia always really struggles with is Navy stuff, because they're big and they got this awkward landmass and they want warm water ports because most of their ports in the Baltic Sea, they freeze up in the winter. And that sucks to being able to do anything with your Navy for half the year.
Yeah.
So a big part of Russian naval strategy and even why they annexed Ukraine recently is to get warm water ports. It's still a thing even to this day.
Wow. I never knew that.
Oh yeah, big deal. Back in 1900-something, the Russians had a port on the East Coast, sort of over by Japan, and they thought, hey, wouldn't it be a great idea to attack Japan and try and get some more land over there just to support their navy? So they started the Russo-Japanese War, and as arrogant Russians and sort of, empire-minded Europeans, they were like, these Japanese guys, they barely know how to do anything. We're just gonna, knock them over and we'll take whatever we want and it's gonna be fine. Well, here's the thing. Turns out that wasn't the case at all.
Yeah.
The Japanese had actually invested a lot of time and money in building up their navy. They also brought in a bunch of advisors from Germany and Britain and all the other people who had been building modern navies for the past, 50 years or so. And they had a pretty good navy situation going on compared to Russia, which did not.
Uh-oh.
So Japan, early on, they had a naval battle and they totally messed up the Russians and they pushed all of the Russians' fleet into their East Coast port, Port Arthur. And then they had blockaded that port. And so the whole Russian fleet in the Pacific was completely cut off and trapped in this port. This was hugely embarrassing for the Tsar because he wanted to, puff up his chest and all of his uncles and cousins were the kings of everywhere else in Europe. This was when that was still happening. And he wanted to look like a big man. And so he's like, I can't deal with this. We need to relieve Port Arthur. And with the only ships that we have, which are our other navy in the Baltic Sea.
Oh, that's far.
It's far. And so if you have a moment to look at it, to pull up a map at home, if you're driving, don't do that. Wait and look at it later. So basically they made up a plan where we're going to take the Russian Baltic fleet and we're going to sail it from the Baltic Sea through the English Channel, down around the Horn of Africa, across the Indian Ocean, through Indonesia, and up to Japan to relieve Port Arthur.
Woof, you gotta go almost all around the world.
It's basically all around the world. Just, the Americas are only missing out on this trip.
Yeah, well.
So,
It's okay.
Here's the thing, though. There were a couple problems with this plan that nobody cared about because they wanted to save face. So this fleet that they were going to send is called the 2nd Pacific Squadron. So the problem was they had no resupply bases anywhere outside of Russia. And the rules of war made it so that neutral countries weren't really allowed to help or weren't really able to help a navy of this size. So they had to go contract through this German company to bring coal ships down. It was a whole mess.
That's really interesting that, if a big navy like that shows up, you're not allowed to help them.
Yeah,
if you're a neutral country.
You could, but it's not a good look. Then you're sort of getting into the war, and that's the whole thing. Russia wasn't that popular. It was also a problem, especially not with Britain, who had most of the bases in Africa, South Africa, etc., India. And also, here's the other thing. Russian warships were not designed to do this at all.
Oh, God.
They were designed to fight battles in the Baltic Sea and not travel through the equator and back again.
Right.
Then here's the other thing. Their best admiral, they had sent over to Port Arthur to sort of take care of everything. He got blown up and decapitated by a mine.
Whoa.
So their best admiral was dead. And so they got this guy, Admiral Zimvoy Rozhesvensky. I'm going to call him Roz because I don't feel like saying that every time.
Sure.
Raz.
Raz. So good old Admiral Raz they got. Here's the thing about Admiral Raz. He was prone to fits of rage.
Nice.
He would physically beat his men on regular occasions. And the only reason that he wouldn't beat the officers is because the officers were mostly connected to nobility. And you wouldn't want to do that.
God.
So he's like, hey, who's your dad? And then if he doesn't know who you say, he just beats you up.
Yeah, it'd be like, oh, that one officer who's just sort of got there on merit, he was screwed.
Oh, no. poor Vladimir good at his job.
Well, Vladimir good at his job, the saddest story in all of Russian history. So here's the other thing. Most of the sailors for this, all of the veterans, they were over trapped in Port Arthur because they all got shipped over there to the start of the war because they thought, oh, let's put our good guys and we'll keep all the rest of them in the Baltic Sea because nothing's going to happen. So that most of them were peasants, conscripted from Central Russia, couldn't read, and a lot of them haven't even seen the sea at the beginning of this mission.
Oh, no.
Also, there was, this being early 1900s Russia, there was a good amount of, like, revolutionary people in the ranks who were causing, unrest and, talking all these big ideas about, overthrowing czars and whatnot. And so that was just causing all this sort of a general unease. So they're like, but hey, this is what they have to do. So the fleet set sail in 1904, October 15th. They have about 5 modern battleships, 2 older battleships, 4 fast cruisers, a repair ship named the Kamchatka, which we're going to get back to. We're going to hear a lot about the Kamchatka. 2 yachts, which were refitted aristocratic yachts, where they just threw guns on, because they were scraping the bottom of the barrel.
This is my gun ship.
Yeah, Alexei, can we borrow your yacht?
Do I have to? I want to sail around the Baltic Sea. No, we need to go beat the Japanese. Oh, fine.
Let me strap a machine gun on it.
Yeah. And then also 5, steamers, passenger steamers, which they also just threw guns on. And then some other auxiliary ships.
This sounds like a great way to build a navy.
Oh, yeah. No, they were great. And I'm not even going to touch on, there was a second fleet that was even that halfway through, they're like, we need to add even more ships. And they got even the worst of it. They called them the sink by themselves fleet.
Oh,
no. We're not even going to talk about them because they are so not important to this and
That's
just
so
sort of extra fodder.
Mean. The sink by themselves fleet.
We haven't even gotten started. So they set sail in October, and right off the bat, one of the battleships sinks in the harbor before they even leave.
Oh, God.
Because when they were doing some repairs, they took part of the hull off and forgot to put it back.
Whoopsie! Oh, no.
So they're like, okay, wait, we gotta refloat that one. Okay, now we're going for real this time.
For real this time, you guys.
Yeah. And just as an idea of just also the general sort of personnel issues, Roz, he would describe his officers as manure sacks and also vast empty spaces.
Oh, good.
Those are premium burns.
Yeah. Roz has the good burns, guys. Just you wait.
He sounds like such a dick.
Oh my god, massive asshole. Some of his cruiser captains would purposefully anchor their ships in the shadow of the big battleships so that they could go ashore and get drunk. That's sort of what he was dealing with in the build-up to this.
Yeah, that's not great behavior.
So he's an asshole, but also the people that he is trying to control are so not into this, and they also probably all realize that this is a doomed mission, probably from the beginning.
Yeah.
So they're set sail. They refloat the ship that they forgot to put the freaking hull on.
That's the bottom, right?
Yeah, the bottom part, the part where the water touches.
Guys, basic boat stuff.
Yeah, they set sail, and the flagship immediately runs aground, and a cruiser loses its anchor.
Lord.
While they're waiting to get all this fixed, another cruiser rams a different battleship, and that cruiser needs to go back to port for repairs.
Oh.
Their own ships hit each other?
Their own ships. They're just playing bumper boats out there in the Baltic Sea. They haven't even left.
Oh my god.
Bumper boats. They're shooting each other with squirt guns.
Oh, hey, wait, we haven't gotten there yet.
Roz, would you like a cotton candy?
So the first major thing that happens is, so they're sailing out of the Baltic. They get to the Danish coast, and there's all those islands between Denmark and Sweden, and the sailors are so freaked out at this point that they start yelling that we're all doomed, because they think, they got it through their heads, Japanese torpedo boats have somehow made it from Japan around the world to the Straits of Denmark, and that they were waiting for them in the narrow point between Denmark and Sweden. This, of course, is impossible.
What?
And so they're all freaking out, and Roz has to get them all under control. No, we're going to be fine. We're just going to be fine. We're going to keep going. Shut up.
Get it together, guys.
An icebreaker that was assigned to this fleet had to have warning shots fired at it because it didn't acknowledge the admiral's signals. It was just sort of sailing all over the place, so the Admiral literally fired its guns across its bow, and then it was sent home.
Oh, okay.
I would love to be on that ship. Like, y'all, I got an idea. If we just kind of do our own thing.
They'll
Right.
just send us home. I mean,
If
it's
we
a good
both-
plan.
Yeah.
Oh, then Daddy Roz, he gets angry.
Don't piss off Daddy Roz.
Don't piss off Daddy Roz, please. He has a big gun ship. So people were so scared of rumors of Japanese torpedo boats getting the fleet. It was like endemic to this whole fleet. They were so paranoid. So Roz tried to calm everyone down by saying, hey, don't worry about torpedoes. Don't let any ship get in amongst the fleet so nothing happens. At that point, a small fishing boat carrying a message from the Tsar sailed into the fleet, and they started trying to blast it out of the water, and they all missed.
Oh, God.
Oh my
And
god.
then
Oh,
the fishing
no.
boat. So the fishing boat made it to the flagship and delivered a message to Roz saying that he was promoted.
Oh, good.
Great.
Okay.
Wait, so all of these boats, none of them could hit this small
None of
fishing
them could
boat.
hit the small fishing boat. They're like, don't let this small fishing boat get into the fleet. The fishing boat, just blissfully unaware. I mean, I guess it was being shot at, but they were like, well, we gotta just like get close to the
Keep
flagship
going.
so they stop shooting at us.
He can't hear, he's got his AirPods in.
Right? So it was about this time the Kamchatka radios that is under attack from torpedo boats from all directions.
Kamchatka.
Everyone looks to the Kamchatka. They don't see anything. They radio the Kamchatka, hey, what's going on? There's nothing happening. It refuses to say that it was a false alarm and that it changed direction, and then it got away from them.
Wait, what?
So they were like, we're being attacked by these Japanese torpedo boats. Actually, no, we're good. They turned around and they left. We're fine.
We're fine. No, we changed course, and they went away. We're safe now.
Do you think someone was just freaking out because they were so worried about it? That they were just like, and they were like, Fred, no, get off the radio.
100%. That is all that was happening for this entire
Jesus.
voyage.
Sounds like a lot of scared and poorly trained people trying to do this difficult
That's absolutely
military
right.
shit.
In fact, they're so scared that now we get to the first international incident that is caused by them being scared.
Oh no.
Oh no,
The first.
buddies. The first.
They came upon a British fishing fleet. And assuming that they were all Japanese torpedo boats, because apparently they didn't have binoculars, well, most of them did, I guess, assumed these fishing ships were Japanese torpedo boats, they opened fire
On just like citizens?
on the British fishing fleet.
Oh no.
Oh no.
In the panic, some ships radioed that they'd been hit by torpedoes. Others donned life jackets and laid down on the deck, preparing to sink. And still others
buddies.
ran around with cutlasses saying that the Japanese were boarding.
Well, these guys with the fish are like, I'm just trying to get, I'm just working my 9 to 5 on this boat, like trying to get some salmon.
And these Russian guys are freaking the fuck out. They're running all over the deck like, we're all gonna die.
In all the panic, the entire Russian fleet is shooting at these fishing ships. They only hit 4 and only sank 1.
Oh my
This
God.
entire Russian fleet that's going to go save the Pacific Russian fleet.
Well, at least they didn't kill a lot of people.
I don't think they killed a lot of people, though. That's the thing.
Their guys are still trapped in this port.
The guys are still. They are
This is the rescue
Just-
team.
They are just now getting past England
Oh no.
on their way around the world, and their guys are trapped in Port Arthur on the east coast of Russia.
Fuck. They're doomed.
They're doomed.
Yeah, they're fucked.
So this almost caused a war because the
Yeah.
British weren't too happy with Russia sailing through and just trying to blow its fishing fleet out of the water. They mobilized their army, or their navy rather, which, by the way, would have outnumbered this fleet 4-1.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't fuck with the British Navy.
Yeah, no. And after some diplomacy back and forth, they were able to sort of stand down, and they didn't cause a war. And the Tsar said they were very sorry.
Is so embarrassed, probably.
Yeah, on their way out of European waters, though, they weren't quite done almost causing international incidents because the Kamchatka they lost contact with at some point. But then by the time it returned, it had 300 shells less, saying that they had gotten in a fight with Japanese torpedo boats. when in reality, they had shot at a Swedish merchant ship, a German trawler, and a French schooner.
My God, they're just shooting at anything
Jesus.
that they see.
The good news is they never actually hit anything.
Great.
So nothing happened.
Thank God for that. They would have been at war with half of Europe.
I know,
Like,
right?
that's insane. Also, Kamchatka, get your fucking shit together. Whoever's the captain of that boat, they need to do some sort of mutiny or some bullshit because he is, like, it's not doing a good job.
He's not doing. You know what? The Kamchatka, they could use some work. They could use some work on the Kamchatka. I'm not going to disagree with you there.
The Kamchatka is like that coworker that you have that is the Slack, where you're like, I have to do your work because you're doing so poorly. And you look over at them and they're like building something on their desk. You're like, what are you doing? Kamchatka, why?
And they're like, I'm doing this to protect us against Japanese torpedo boats because they're coming.
And you're like, I'm right next to you. Where are they?
Yeah, that's not a thing.
Kamchatka, you are not under attack.
You're not under attack, Kamchatka. Please calm down. Please take your guns off of your ship and give them to us and go home. They didn't do that. They stuck around. So now they are going down the coast of West Africa. They finally made it out of Europe.
Good job. And they only shot at everyone.
They only shot at everybody and only caused a minor international incident. They needed to refuel in West Africa, and this is back in the days when they were still, all these ships still ran on coal. But their supply line and system was so strained that they decided they needed to take on double coal that the amount that they would take. So they literally stuffed the coal, they filled up their normal coal bunkers and then stuffed it everywhere else on the ship, anywhere it could fit.
Oh, Lord.
This created a fine layer of very flammable coal dust across all of the ships. Combined
Oh, my God.
Combined with the equatorial humidity, this sort of coal dust combined to coat everyone's lungs with a sort of blacky coal gunk, killing several people with respiratory issues.
Fuck.
Oh, my God.
Just right off the bat. Just for
right off the
breathing
bat.
air and having
Just for breathing air. So we have our first bones, and we haven't even left Africa.
Ding, ding, ding.
Oh, my God.
Ding.
Ding, ding, ding. So they gave them, like, rapid black lung.
Yeah, basically, like instant black lung, just because this is the only way that they could get enough fuel to get around the Horn of Africa.
No, this is worth it, guys.
No, we're going to do it. We're going to save them. We're going to get there. Meanwhile, back in Russia, Tsar Nicholas is praying constantly, and he's like, "This is going to do it. It's going to be great.
Thank God.
We're gonna beat the Japanese, and everyone's going to love me."
Ooh, buddy.
Buddy, I'm going to stave off revolution this time. It's going to be great.
Ooh, buddy.
During a routine check-in along the coast of Africa, they're saying, "Hey, how's everybody doing?" Everyone's radioing, "Yeah, we're good. The Kamchatka radioed back, "Do you see torpedo boats?"
Oh my
Kamchatka.
God.
Throwing
Stop.
everybody into a panic again for no damn reason.
Kamchatka.
By about this time, our good friend Admiral Roz, he had started creating some nicknames for the ships that annoyed him.
Hell yes.
These included the Slutty Old Geezer,
Oh God.
I'm sorry. Come again?
the Slutty Old Geezer,
The slutty old geezer. Okay.
the Brainless Nihilist,
Okay.
the Guard's Uniform Hanger.
What?
I'm sure.
What does that mean?
Well, of course, the Kamchatka was the lecherous slut.
Jeez. Okay.
This guy did not like women.
No,
or his own dudes.
No, he didn't like
Yeah.
anybody. I don't know what to tell you. Here's the thing about Ruz. He would get so angry in the heights of his fits of rage that he would take his binoculars and he would throw them into the sea.
Buddy, we've seen that y'all don't have a lot of those.
Well, they knew this would happen. So they brought along a box of 50 binoculars just for him for the whole voyage.
Just so that every time he got really pissed, he could chuck one off
So
the
he'd have
side.
enough binoculars to throw, because they knew he'd be getting pretty fucking angry on this one.
Shoot.
God. That's premium.
Mm.
Premium enabling. Just like, here's your box of binoculars, chuck away.
Right? Like, they didn't come to him being like, you have 3. You have 3 binoculars. Stop doing it. They're like, we gotta get more binoculars. So about this time, so they make it around the Horn of Africa, and they get to their next stop in Madagascar. It is about this time that they get word that Port Arthur had fallen, and that the entire fleet was destroyed. So their rescue mission is now already a failure.
They're too late.
Oh my god.
Because turns out, here's the thing about Port Arthur, and, it seemed like a great idea, like, hey, this is a place where, we can have ships in the Pacific. But it's got this thing where there's mountains all around it, and the Japanese just sort of marched up those mountains with their guns and were able to just shoot down on all of the ships from the mountains around the port and sunk everything.
Wow.
That's intense.
Oh, God. This is a failure.
Yeah, so now they have no reason to even be out there.
No, but they're still going to go, because they still got to go save face, and they got to go beat the Japanese.
Oh, my God.
They're going to try to beat the Japanese with a fleet made up of, like, tardy slut and old whore bag or whatever he calls them.
That's right. The lecherous slut is going in. And they're gonna get those Japanese, and they're going to show them what for, because they're racist, and they don't believe that they're any good. Even
They'll
though
be in for quite a surprise.
they've proven that they're pretty good so far.
I was going to say, how do they keep thinking that they're going to have any chance against them when they've blown up their entire fleet?
Mainly because this is what the Tsar told them to do, and they don't really have a choice in the matter.
Oh, Tsar Nicholas, you dirty, dirty bastard.
They probably all, at this point, know this isn't going to go so well. So while they're in Madagascar, they decide to have some fun. They started collecting various exotic animals and bringing them onto the ships.
Okay.
They collected crocodiles, they collected parrot, which they gave to Roz, and the parrot quickly learned every Russian swear word.
Nice.
They collected a bunch of chameleons. Chameleons were covering these ships.
Oh my God.
Oh my god.
So you can imagine that they had a hard time finding them once they got loose.
Yes.
They also brought on some venomous snakes, one of which wrapped itself around one of the guns, and when an officer tried to grab it, it bit the officer.
Perfect. Yeah.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Give the snake a gun. That's a great idea.
That's kind of what you get. I'm sorry.
In fact, they said that on one of the cruisers, the Aurora, there were so many exotic animals roaming the ship that the Aurora's crews were afraid to go to sleep because of the animals roaming the ship at night looking for food.
Yeah. Maybe you shouldn't have brought the fucking alligator on board.
Yeah.
Okay, so in summation, the ships are filled with untrained, rowdy dudes, covered in coal, and infested with a bunch of wild animals.
Wild, venomous animals, yeah.
And they're gonna go beat Japan.
They're gonna go beat Japan. Well, here's the other thing. So at this point, Roz got really sick and was like bedridden. And also his second in command got a brain hemorrhage and became paralyzed. So for a hot minute there, nobody was in charge.
Oh, no.
Great.
So they decided to just hang out in Madagascar and collect more animals. And maybe let's go ashore and fuck everything that moves.
Oh, great.
Seems about right.
Nice one, boys.
At this point, malaria, dysentery, typhoid, and all of the STDs started getting thrown around the entire sailing fleet.
That's what you get. That's what you fucking get.
So, there's people getting paralyzed and there's random people dying all the time. During a funeral for one of the dead of the Kamchatka, they fired off a round in salute. Here's the thing, though. They used a live round and it hit the Aurora.
Fuck.
Are you serious?
They hit the Aurora with the funeral gun.
Fuck. You guys, get it together.
Y'all cannot do anything right.
You're starting to see waves of mental illness run through, religious fervor, talk of mutiny, and don't forget the revolutionary fervor that's just sort of everywhere in Russia right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got fun, communist revolution.
Yeah, you got Bolsheviks sort of running around. I don't know if they're called Bolsheviks at this point, but they're around. They talk about one guy was walking around half naked and would go up to people asking them if they feared death.
Oh.
That's me. Just walking around the ship. Hey, you fear death?
I mean, at this point, I would. I mean, what are you even on this mission for?
Not unreasonable.
Nothing.
Not unreasonable to fear death at this point. I'm going to say it.
I mean, yeah. Especially if you're being asked about it by a half-naked dude on a coal-covered animal ship.
Oh, we're coming to the end here. So they leave Madagascar, and Roz gets better, and he sends some of the revolutionaries home. But like his officers really weren't doing much because turns out on Madagascar, there's lots of really good opium. And so most of his officers were just high off opium.
Great.
A lot of the time anyway.
If there's any opportunity for these guys to like engage in bullshittery, like they're doing it.
They're just because I think at this point they got to assume like we're fucked. We know what's going on. Let's just have as much fun as we can in Madagascar while we got it.
Yeah. Seems that way.
It was around this time that the Kamchatka sent out a signal that it was sinking.
Was it?
No.
Of course not.
It was a cracked steam pipe, and they were fine.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Roz decided then he developed a system where every time a ship would misbehave, he would order that ship to sail behind his flagship, and then he would go to the rear of his ship, he'd grab a megaphone, and he would berate the captain with his megaphone from the back of his ship.
Fuck.
Until he had it out of his system.
Oh my god. I don't think his style of leadership was working, honestly.
No, I don't think... I mean, could anyone's style work? Again, these are all like peasants and people who haven't seen the ocean and the dregs of the Russian fleet.
Yeah.
And
nobody stood a chance.
I fucking love it, though. He's like, pull up behind me. I'm gonna fucking give you what for from the back of my, big-ass warship. I'm gonna scream at you. They probably couldn't hear most of it because of the fucking rip of the, ocean.
No, but
and he's just, screaming into nothing, but you see his face and you know he's mad.
But when he throws that binocular, he's mad.
Ah! Yeah, he finishes it off by chucking up binoculars at your head.
Uh-huh. So at this point, they're getting into Indonesia, and so they're passing through the Straits of Malacca. But at this point, it was actually conceivable that the Japanese could have put their torpedo boats in this choke point, but they hadn't. There wasn't as much. Maybe they got all the panic out of their system. But what they did manage to do was cause a massive traffic jam in the Straits with their navy, pissing off all of the local merchants. By this point, I guess this was the last straw, and Roz put in his resignation to the Tsar, was refused.
Oh, no.
Okay. Even Roz wants to fucking
He
quit.
doesn't want to. He's like, this is hopeless. So they're starting to come around. At this point, the Japanese intelligence is like, they know they're coming. They've known they've been coming since the beginning. They've created international incidents. This is no secret. There was no surprise attack.
Yeah, they're not sneaky.
Yeah, specifically, the Japanese know that they didn't stop for fuel in Singapore, and so that means they're going to take the quickest route towards Port Arthur, which is through the Straits of Tsushima. So the Japanese know exactly where they're coming, and they're starting to get ready.
Oh, fuck.
The Russians start to sail up, and they get up out to the Straits of Tsushima, and the Japanese are waiting for them. And on the Japanese side of things, Admiral Togo radios his fleet, basically to have them get ready for battle. He radios, quote, "In response to the warning that enemy ships have been sighted, the combined fleet will immediately commence action and attempt to attack and destroy them. Period. Weather today, fine, but high waves."
So look out.
And apparently that weather today, fine, but high waves is sort of a meme in Japanese politics and sort of history, where that's sort of a thing they say when they're about to go do something badass.
That's kind of cool, yeah.
So begins the Battle of Tsushima. And I'm not going to get into the specifics of it because I've already talked enough about how they got here. If you want to, I think this is a great time to talk about my source, which is a fantastic video essay by the YouTuber Drachinifel. That's Drachinifel, a sort of naval historian YouTuber. He has a great video on the voyage, and he also has a great video on the battle if you want to know how specifically things went down. But suffices to say, the Japanese absolutely destroyed the Russian fleet.
Yeah, could have seen that one coming a mile away.
Total Russian personnel losses were 216 officers and 4,614 men killed, with 278 officers and 5,629 men taken prisoner. All of the battleships were either sunk or surrendered. Roz survived.
Hell yeah.
He was wounded, but he did survive and was taken. He had to leave his ship, which sank. The Kamchatka was sunk in the battle. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Rip to the Kamchatka.
But the Aurora, our other boy, which was actually sort of one of the better ships in the fleet, did manage to escape to the Philippines and is actually, I think, a museum ship in Russia now.
Were they able to save any of the animals?
Probably not.
Rip to those thousands of chameleons.
That's how, we talk about the bones of the men in this, which is this everyone, this is where the bones come in. This is my conceit. That look at all these bones. That's why I told the story, because they're bones now. And they're at the bottom of the ocean.
I'll take it.
Got it. I knew you'd get there.
But yes, there were many Russian bones sent to the bottom of the ocean, but truly, the biggest tragedy is the thousands of chameleon bones that were
And
sent.
the crocodile, although was it an alligator or a crocodile? Doesn't matter. That one probably came out on top because
It probably did okay.
yeah, if
He just swam away from the whole incident.
The Japanese lost 3 torpedo boats, and only 117 men were killed, with 500 wounded.
that's a lot of people. Mostly,
Still a
it's
lot,
still a
yeah.
lot, but
It's a lot.
yeah, it's just war.
I mean,
is awful.
117 compared to 4,000.
Yeah, much
You know,
different.
yeah. So the Japanese absolutely thrashed the Russians in this battle, and it was the Battle of Tsushima that finally caused Tsar Nicholas to be like, okay, I guess we lost. In legacy of this battle, this basically completely destroyed Russia's standing on the world stage and opened the door for the 1905 revolution, which would then open the door for the later 1917 revolution. It also weakened Russia militarily and emboldened maybe the Central Powers to start World War I, because they knew Russia was kind of shit at this point. And on the other side of things, it emboldened the Japanese Navy to think that maybe they were hotter shit than they really were, because they beat the Russians, but the Russians were shit, and it made them sort of more eager to get into World War II later on.
That's fascinating.
Wow.
So, I mean, there's a lot you could draw from this one ridiculous voyage.
Damn, it was the voyage
that was
of
amazing.
the damned, wasn't it?
If anyone from Hollywood is out there listening, I'm just saying this would make a perfect madcap comedy film, sort of dark humor comedy farce.
Yeah, Taika Waititi should do it.
Oh my god, could you imagine what he would do with this?
A lot of good stuff. But that was amazing, Nicholas. I loved that. I love nothing more than a journey full of terrible mistakes.
It's my pleasure just retelling just one of many Russian tragedies. There's so many.
Well, I guess I'll go for our final bony tale of the day.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be something pretty different.
Well, we've had too much war.
No,
Change
this
the
episode.
vibe.
No war in this one, I don't think.
Chameleons?
No chameleons either, so I don't know.
All right.
Racism, briefly, yes, but
Okay.
yeah. Okay, so my sources for this were history.com and allthat'sinteresting.com. A couple of good articles from them. Okay, so I'm just gonna tell you about Harry Houdini,
Oh.
Yeah.
the magic
Bird
guy.
magic.
Yeah, he had some bird magic. So Harry Houdini, for those who don't know, he was born as Eric Weiss in Budapest.
God, the
Wow.
shade.
I know.
For people
I
who don't
didn't
know who
either.
Harry Houdini is.
I was just kidding. So he.
Y'all, Gen Xers don't know who Harry Houdini
For all you
is.
idiots out there who don't know the best magician in the damn world.
I'm about to teach you right now, so sit down.
Eat your heart out, Chris Angel.
So, he's born March 24th, 1874. And then when he was 4 years old, they immigrated to the United States. So he starts on his career early. He does like trapeze. He's doing that when he's 9. And then he starts a vaudeville like magic career in like 1891. And around this time is when he changes his name to Harry Houdini to honor this famous French magician named Jean-Eugène Robert Houdin. I don't know if I'm saying that right,
Oh.
but pretty close, I bet.
You're the one who speaks French.
Yeah, I used to. R.I.P. my brain. So Houdini, he became famous as the Handcuff King.
Oh, hi.
He was like the first escape artist. Like he could just escape from anything. So his first, I'm just going to send you a picture of this.
Yeah, send us a picture of the handcuffed king.
Well, this, oh my God.
Want to see this man in
Doing his
handcuffs.
thing. So he's not in handcuffs in this one.
He's
This
upside
is his
down. How
most-
could he put his crown on?
This is his most famous trick. It has a really unfortunate racist name. It's the Chinese water torture cell. Yeah, I know. I don't like that at all. But basically what happened is, like you see, he's suspended above this tank of water and they like lower him down into it. And then he had 2 minutes to escape, which obviously he did. And everybody was like, yes, you're so, so cool. I just watched you almost die. I love you.
That's the best part.
Yeah. Also, Peep the guy on the far left with an amazing mustache.
Oh, let's see. I didn't even see a mustache.
Look at that. That mustache is going out further than his big nose.
Wow.
Yeah. It comes off of his face. But
He's got some distance on that stash.
yeah, although to be honest, I'm not sure how much fun I would have watching someone like momentarily drown. Like, that sounds scary to me.
You don't like seeing near-death experience in front of your face? What's wrong with you?
I'm a freak.
People were built different, or maybe it's just our like new sort of modern mentality. But I feel like from like beginning of history till about like 1890, people loved watching people almost die for fun.
And die for fun.
Yeah, public executions and all that.
Yeah.
Gladiators and shit.
So Houdini was like famous for kind of his trickery and his sleight of hand. His tricks usually did have a lot of risk. Like, I wouldn't want to be lowered into a tank of water, feet, head first. But I guess in 1915, he almost died doing a stunt where he was shackled and buried like alive. Yeah, nightmare.
It's always the tricks that you least expect are going to kill you.
Yes, no one expected buried alive to present any sort of problem.
It's the easy ones. It's the safe ones that'll get you. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
So he's doing his shows. He's scaring all the people that are watching. He's freaking them out. And he's, this is what he like does for his job. And he gets pretty good at it and he gets really famous. This was not really a thing back then. He was kind of the first of his time, rather. So he was touring around 1926 is when things start to go wrong. At this point, he's 52, so he has had a good long run of it.
He's been dipped in the tank a few times.
He has, yeah. But on October 11th, 1926, he actually broke his ankle trying to do the racist water torture cell trick.
The racist water trick,
Racistly named water torture trick.
I was gonna say the racist water torture trick. That's not a much better naming convention.
It doesn't roll off the tongue. So he breaks his ankle, but he's like, I'm gonna push through, you guys. This broken ankle won't stop me. And he keeps doing like his shows against doctors' orders, and he's still like traveling around. And he's not a young person anymore. He's 52. He's getting up there. So they're traveling and they end up in Montreal, and he makes an appearance at the Princess Theater, and he was lecturing about spirit fraud at McGill University.
Hell yeah.
Pause on that. We're going to get back to spirit fraud a little bit later.
I was going to say, Houdini and spiritualism is an interesting topic.
Well, stop.
Stop it.
So he's at this lecture. He's schmoozing, I guess, at this lecture. And he meets this artist whose name is Samuel Smilovich, but he went by the name Smiley. Which,
oh, I don't trust that person.
Sammy Smiley.
Oh, no, get away from me.
But Houdini was so impressed by this drawing that Smiley had done of him that he, like, had him come over, later. He was like, come over later and you're going to do a real portrait of me. And I guess on that day, Smiley brought a couple of buddies with him. I don't know why. He brought a friend named Jack Price and then a student who I guess was a freshman named Jocelyn Gordon Whitehead. So while Smiley is doing this portrait of Houdini, this guy, Whitehead, is chatting with Houdini. And I imagine that it's getting like frattier and frattier as the conversation goes on.
Whoa, bro, so you use, like, real water? Whoa, that's freaking sick, bro.
No, it's even worse than that. So they start talking about like physical strength. Whitehead says that he's heard that Houdini can absorb any punch that is like landed, and Houdini's probably like, nah, I don't know about that, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I can definitely absorb a lot of force. Houdini's 52 years old with a broken ankle, and this guy, Whitehead, hits him 4 times, like punches him in the stomach. Houdini is sitting down at this point, and I guess like was gonna do it again, but Houdini like gestured to stop for him to stop, and he obviously was in a lot of pain. I guess at the time Houdini said he didn't think that Whitehead would strike so suddenly, otherwise he would have been better prepared. So it's like, oh, I just wasn't ready, bro.
Oh, bro, if you really can, like, take these punches, then you gotta be ready all the time, dude.
Yeah.
Bro, come on.
That's such a dick move, though, to just be, like, talking to him and then just be like, boo, boo, boo.
Yeah, punch him as hard as you can 4 times while he's sitting down.
I thought you were magic, bro. What the hell?
So by later that night, obviously Houdini is complaining of terrible pain in his abdomen. The doctor diagnoses him with acute appendicitis and is like, you need to go to the hospital. But the show must go on for Harry Houdini.
True showman.
The greatest showman. The theater that he was going to be at the theater that he was going to be performing at, the Garrick Theater in Detroit, had sold $15,000 worth of tickets for that evening's show. And so reportedly, I mean, I don't know about if I believe that this was actually said, but Houdini reportedly said, I'll do this show if it's my last.
Oh no, buddy!
Guess what?
Was it his last?
Yes, it was.
No.
So he's doing his very physical magic show, but he has a temperature of 104, and they're like putting ice packs on him in between the acts to try and cool him down. Some reports say that he passed out during the performance, and I guess by the beginning of the 3rd act, he was like, all right, I'm not going to perform this show. But he wasn't going to go to the hospital. Like, his wife couldn't convince him. A hotel physician was called, and then his own doctor came, and finally they were like, oh, okay, we're taking you to the hospital. So finally he goes to the hospital at 3 a.m., and I'm sure the show started a lot earlier than that, so what the fuck are you being so stubborn about?
Yeah.
So he gets his appendix removed, but of course, because it had taken so long for him to get to the hospital, his appendix had ruptured, and the lining of his stomach was inflamed with peritonitis. And so the infection is spreading through his whole body. Side note, today, this all could have been like stopped with antibiotics, unfortunately. But we didn't have those.
If only they could have dunked him in some sort of large amount of antibiotic solution.
I know.
If
only there was some sort of contraption that could have dunked him.
Yeah, they had just been set up for that. Man,
Jesus.
We would have still, to this day, we could have still had Houdini performing 7 nights a week in Vegas.
So he did have 2 operations and then was injected with, quote, an experimental anti-streptococcal serum, which I don't know about that.
Sounds safe, sounds chill.
Sounds like it didn't get very far in the pharmaceutical industry. I guess it seemed like Houdini was going to recover, but he quickly relapsed and he was dying of sepsis. It was just never going to happen for him. It's really weird that I said that.
Surviving this was not going to happen.
Well, yeah, no, medical treatment was delayed for too long, and yeah, it's not his fault. It's not the victim's fault.
No.
But it was, unfortunate, and modern medicine would have helped him, but of course we weren't there yet. So he dies on Halloween, 1926, in his wife's arms. And at the time, the doctors thought that this was the result, his death was the result of being punched in the stomach 4 times by this guy, Whitehead.
Whitehead!
Yeah. So they thought it was like traumatic appendicitis, but of course these kind of cases are very rare. And I'll get back to the diagnosis a little bit later, but in 1926, doctors were like, yeah, Whitehead fucking punched him to death. And it was they were so sure that the life insurance company actually like paid his wife double, I guess, for an accidental death.
Was he charged for murder?
It doesn't say anything about that, so I don't know. Wow. So Houdini is buried at a Jewish graveyard in Queens. It's called Machpelah Cemetery. So Houdini's death is tragic, of course, but there's a lot of conspiracy around his death because of his relationship with spiritualism, which we touched on earlier. So I'm going to just quickly get into that before I let you go.
Made one too many deal with the devil.
Well,
Houdini just hated spiritualism. Yeah. He thought they were a bunch of crooks. Mm-hmm. Because at this time there had been a lot of war. There had been a big flu, the pandemic of 1918 that everybody always talks about. So that kind of gave rise to this movement of spiritualism and contacting the dead. But Houdini was he made it his life's goal to debunk these so-called mediums and spiritual advisors. He would write pamphlets. He would do shows where he would disprove what these fucking people were doing. And here I'm going to send you a picture. I thought this was just hilarious. There's a picture of a poster for one of his shows. And here, Sophie, why don't you read what it says?
This is what the poster says. Do spirits return? Houdini says no, and prove it. 3 shows in 1. Magic, illusions, escapes, fraud, mediums exposed. Lyceum Theater, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, September 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
So Houdini was honestly, it was made it his life's mission to debunk these fucking assholes that were taking advantage of people and taking their money for pretending to communicate with their dead loved ones.
Yeah, but also his fucking face. Look at the picture.
Oh.
Houdini's face. He's a smug motherfucker. Look at him.
You really fucking think this thing's real, you stupid idiots? I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna get on stage. I'm gonna show you it's all real.
He's got a very creepy smile.
So this crusade was actually lucrative for him. He got a lot of money in lawsuits, and of course this did make him a few enemies. And at the time of his demise, I thought this was interesting. He was still going strong, and he had just recently testified in front of Congress in DC in support of a bill that outlawed fortune telling.
Wow.
So some conspiracy theorists believe that his death was a murder orchestrated by the spiritualist community. Some people believe that this guy Whitehead was a spiritualist and was hired to stalk and kill him, which I don't think I necessarily believe, but is kind of fun to ponder.
let's look at the evidence. Yeah. So if spiritualism is real, then they were able to make this guy Whitehead punch him so perfectly and use the power of the devil to make that punch explode his appendix.
Yep. And yeah, like I said, a lot of
sense.
people at that time, doctors included, thought that you could punch someone so hard that their appendix would rupture. This probably is not what happened. It was probably just a coincidence, a really crazy coincidence, that he probably had a burst appendix before and then got punched and didn't seek medical attention, because it sounds like he wasn't the type of person to seek a lot of medical attention. And he was I'm in pain. I just got punched really hard, so I don't need to do anything about it, whatever. But medical people now kind of think, like I said, this was just a horrible accident and coincidence.
If only he had believed as much in medicine as he had believed in science.
Yeah.
The absence of spiritualism.
Yeah, for a guy who loves science, you'd think he'd like the doctor more.
Here's another irony. I'm going to just read this quote. Quote, ironically, though he was an anti-spiritualist, Harry Houdini's death became fuel for spiritualist fodder. So, him and his wife, her name was Bess, had made a pact previously.
Yes.
And they said that whoever died first was going to try and communicate with the other one from beyond the grave with like, I think it was like a series of numbers that only they knew to prove that spiritualism, well, to prove or disprove the existence of spiritualism, basically. So
Yeah.
Bess held a seance every Halloween
Oh, drum
for
roll.
9 years.
Oh, it's gonna happen on that 9th year.
And the 10th year rolls around, and I guess 10 years was like how long their pact was. I guess it like had an expiration date.
All right.
So on the 10th year, this is 1936, Bess does this very highly anticipated final seance in the Hollywood Hills.
Ooh,
And
10-year
of course-
extravaganza.
Yes, yes. I can only imagine that everybody was decked out in like black lace and had candles. And I mean, honestly,
my
I would like
God.
to go back and be a fly on the wall at this final seance.
Yes.
But
yes.
of course, you and I, we all know that he did not show up at his 10th birthday death party thingy. And I'm going to read you a quote from his wife, Bess, who sounds like a cool lady, honestly. Quote, Houdini did not come through. My last hope is gone. I do not believe that Houdini can come back to me or to anyone. After faithfully following through the Houdini 10-year compact, after using every type of medium and seance, it is now my personal and positive belief that spirit communication in any form is impossible. I do not believe that ghosts or spirits exist. The Houdini shrine has burned for 10 years. I now reverently turn out the light. It is finished. Good night, Harry.
Aw.
Kind of tragic, but also like, fuck you guys.
Yeah. Well, I think it's so smart, like, to have that kind of pact if you're like, I'm going to disprove spiritualists.
I can't believe the
Yeah.
patent pending Houdini 10-year spiritualism pact. TM.
Well, but
TM,
But I
TM,
think-
TM,
Probably.
I think that is kind of what he would have wanted, is for spiritualism to have been disproven, you know? So I think
Yes.
ultimately
I don't know.
this
That's not what
was
I got
a
from
good thing.
this.
Okay.
Do you think he became a ghost and was like, I could contact her, but I shouldn't?
I mean, that's what I
because
got from this. I don't know about you guys, but it was obvious that Houdini died, realized that spiritualism was real, and was so embarrassed that he
Yeah.
dared not actually give her
Yeah.
the numbers. Therefore, checkmate, Houdini. Lovers everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Ya burn.
You burnt. Well, actually, I had read about this this pact, like when I was a teenager, and thought it was the most romantic
Yes,
thing
of
in the
course.
world.
Of course, young Sophie thought that was like the zenith of romance.
Yes, I did. Oh my God, love from beyond the grave.
Well, some people still have that 8th grade fervor for Harry Houdini, because probably even to this day, there are people that perform seances every Halloween, hoping that they'll hear from him, because remember, he died on Halloween.
Spooky. The spookiest day to die.
Perfect.
So far,
So
you
good.
know, I don't think he's coming back, but there's always next year.
There's
That's
always
why
next year.
that's why every Halloween you'll find me up in the Hollywood Hills, dressed in a black tuxedo with a little flame, just going house to house. Because I don't know which house this was done in. I don't know if it's still
Right.
there, but I'm
You
trying to
gotta
find
know.
it.
That's awesome. I love
Harry
that.
Houdini
So catch us this Halloween in the Hollywood Hills.
trying
Bring-
to talk to Harry.
Bring your fanciest lace and your biggest eternal flame.
Yeah, I will. Nick, got any bones that you're really like appreciating right now?
Oh, what am I? I guess my what? Oh God. Give me 2
No?
seconds. No. Please cut this out. You guys, I wasn't prepared to talk about my own bones. I spent so much time talking about vaguely connected Russian bones that I forgot to think of my own.
That's not healthy, Nick.
And I feel like to throw out a token bone to answer your question would be wrong and not in the spirit of this podcast. I feel like
Okay.
I need to give you a specifically good reason to give a specifically good bone. And that's a bone to pick with myself. Maybe that's
my
the bone.
God.
I have a bone to pick with myself about not coming up with a bone beforehand, and that's my bone of the day. Thank you.
Okay, so Nick's bone that he's mindful of today is a metaphorical one,
Great.
which we'll take
That
as
was
well.
my only chance.
Thanks for coming back on.
It was my pleasure. What?
Yeah.
The guests don't ask you about bones, but
They can if they want to.
You want to try and catch me off guard, bitch?
Reverse Uno. Here we fucking go. Caitlin, what kind of bones are you into right now, Bone Queen?
I'm really into, like, knees and kneecaps.
Damn it, you were prepared. God, dog, why did I think I would get this?
I moved recently, and I swear my right knee just, like, hasn't quite recovered, because every time I go down the stairs, I got a little twinge. So I'm thinking about knees constantly. And bones constantly, really.
Nice.
Well, that makes sense, I guess, in retrospect, given the nature of this thing that you do every week.
Yeah. Well, I think all we
is no one's gonna ask
what's your
me?
favorite bone right now?
I'm so
Sophie?
sorry, Sophie. What's your favorite bone? Of course, I was going to get to your bone situation.
Oh, me? I'm thinking about my vertebrae because I'm sitting in a C curve because I sit
that's
on the
not
floor.
great, probably. I'm no scoliosis doctor. I'm pretty
That's
sure
what they're
that's what they're
called,
called.
scoliosis
I'm a man of
doctors.
science. Thank you.
Well, on that lovely note, thanks, Boneheads, for listening. Hop over to the Instagram and the website to check out pictures and sources for this episode. Go check out our Everything's Fine Tonight live
Appearance.
Thank you. Nick, got anything to plug?
I'll say if you're in the Seattle area, and you will be in the Seattle area on September 4th, my sketch group, the Maple Daddies, who we count among the members, your very own Sophie Schwartz, will be performing that night at the what's it called? Unexpected Productions Theater at Pike Place Market.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes. It should be a really
Can't
fun
wait.
show. Yeah. Sketchfest, we're
I
back.
love live shows. We're seeing Maria Bamford in a couple days, too.
Oh, that's exciting. Yeah.
Bon voyage.
Okay.
Hold,
Do that again, Nick.
hold on. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find the Russian translation to Bon Voyage.
Oh my god.
Доброго
Yes.
пути.
Well, it means goodbye, darling. Go, bro.
Say it, do it again.
Доброго пути.
Gobro Petit.
Dobra obrati.
We have to end this.
Okay. So I guess the last thing that we have to say is
Доброго пути.
Goodbye.
Bon voyage. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Anything Bones. Follow us on Instagram or Facebook at Anything Bones Podcast, or email us at anythingbonespodcast@gmail.com.
Thank you to Nick Kruger for our spooky music and Stephen Vetteroff
At Chubby Scrubby on Twitter,
for our jazzy vocals, and thank you to Camilla Franklin
at Camilla Strader on Instagram.
for our beautiful bony artwork. Please rate, review, and subscribe.
I've never met a bird that I liked.